Hi everyone, welcome back to Catherine's Plates. I've got my crock pot out today. I am going to be making crock pot cabbage rolls. Today I'm going to take rolled cabbage rolls and we're going to deconstruct them in the crock pot and make it a soup. Guys, if you haven't tried this one, try it. It is so delicious. Okay, so the first thing you want to do anytime that you're going to be doing hamburger in a crock pot is you want to make sure you brown it first. So I'm going to go ahead and cook this up with, I've got 2 small onions that I just chopped up. So we're going to go ahead and brown those together. I've got my pan on a medium-high heat. I'm just going to add just a little bit of oil. And then we're going to add 1.5 pounds of ground beef. Now using my meat chopper here, or you can use a wooden spoon, just break up your meat and start browning it. And as that's happening, I'm going to go ahead and add my onion. I'm going to season this because you always want to season your layers. Some salt and some pepper. Alright, as soon as this is all browned up, which will just take a few minutes, what we're going to do at that point is drain the grease out of it and then place it into the bottom of our crock pot. Alright, we're going to start by adding 1 can of tomato soup. This is a 10-ounce can. 14-ounce can of rotel tomatoes. Now this has green chilies in it. If you want to use just a regular can of diced tomatoes, 14-ounce, you can do that also. But we're going to add some flavor to this. Alright, I've got a full box of beef broth here. You can also use chicken broth for a lighter flavor. This is 32 ounces. I've got 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. Alright, rice. Now, uncooked rice, and this is a long grain white basmati rice. As long as it's a long grain white rice, you can use that. 1 cup. Alright, let's give that a mix. Alright, let's season with some pepper. I'm going to be salting this, you guys, because we got a lot of cabbage going in, and it's going to need that salt. My husband likes this soup, but he loves it with the bell peppers in it. It's not really a traditional ingredient inside of a cabbage roll, but in the soup, oh, it gets really soft and flavorful. It's really delicious. Okay, so I've taken a large head of cabbage, and I just chopped off the kind of the 4 sides of it. We want about 3 to 4 cups of cabbage. You want to make sure that it's going to fit into your crock pot. Now, I'm using a 6-quart crock pot here. And if you want to check it out, I'll link it down below in the description box on what type that I use. So what I did was I just wedged it kind of like here, and then I am cutting it into bite-sized pieces so it'll fit on the spoon, okay? That's why I put everything in the crock pot first and then add the cabbage so I don't over add cabbage, okay? Okay, I'm going to start adding this into my crock pot. Alright, so with the peppers, I'm just going to cut off the 4 sides. I'm going to mix this all together here. Gosh. Okay, I've got the lid on. We're going to cook this on high for 3 to 4 hours or on low for about 6 hours. We're looking for that cabbage to be really tender and soft and all those flavors to just kind of meld in. Been waiting all day for this one, you guys. Oh, my goodness, look at that. All right, I'm going to test it to make sure the rice is cooked through. Talk about a very comforting, soothing soup. Give me a thumbs up on this one. Crockpot pizza soup. This is a very low carb soup, ground Italian sausage. The first thing you want to do is make sure you cook that all the way through and it's nice and brown. I'm using 1 pound because I love sausage on pizza. And this will give a great flavor to the soup. Now with this soup, you can go all the way up to 2 pounds of sausage. Okay, you can see that the sausage is all cooked up. We're going to go ahead now and turn off the burner. And then if you want to drain off any excess grease, but as you can see when I push this, there's not hardly any there. So I'm going to go ahead and add this to the bottom of the crock pot. I've got some pepperoni. Now this is a turkey flavor, or you can use the regular pepperoni. Now I'm just going to take the pepperoni and I'm just going to cut it into 4 pieces. All right, we're going to add that to the sausage. This is about 2 ounces. Another thing I like on my pizza, bell pepper. I just chopped one up. We're going to add that. Looks like a pizza in there, doesn't it? I love onion on my pizza also, so I'm going to chop up an onion. If you like the red onions, you can put those in there. Now this is a yellow onion. It'll all soften down. This is half of a medium onion that I'm putting in. Okay, we're going to add this to our crock pot. Now I'm not going to add mushrooms, but if you want to add mushrooms, you can go ahead and add mushrooms. Any toppings that you like. Okay, I love olives on a pizza. This is about 2 ounces of sliced olives, and I just drained the can. We're going to add that. We're getting there. I'm going to sprinkle in some Italian seasoning. Another favorite, garlic. About 2 teaspoons. Okay, I'm going to add 16 ounces of beef broth. This will add a lot of flavor, and it'll give it enough liquid to where this will make this a soup. Now we're going to add some marinara sauce. It's 28 ounces. Now I'm going to add about half a cup of water to the jar here. Give it a shake and add that into there also. Now because the soup won't take very long, not as your typical dinner in there for like 8 hours or to 12 hours, I'm going to go ahead and put in 2 blocks of cream cheese. So that's 16 total ounces, and I'm just going to slice this and just put it all over the top of the soup. Before we add the cream cheese on top, I'm going to go ahead and stir everything together. I'm thinking I might add 1 more cup of beef broth. I'm going to go ahead and put the cream cheese on top. Now we're going to place the lid on. We're going to cook this on high for 2 to 3 hours, or you can cook it on low for 4 to 5 hours, and we're just going to stir it occasionally. I'll be back, and I'm going to show you how we're going to finish this off. This smells so amazing in the house. You would think there was pizzas. What I'm going to do is stir this up with the cream cheese and get that all melted inside the soup. It's going to make it nice and creamy. Look at that. All the toppings of a pizza. I'm going to bowl this up. I like mozzarella cheese on my pizza, so I'm going to definitely put it on my soup. Give it a little bit of pop, pizzazz with some parsley. You can believe me when I tell you that I have fooled some people in this house. They came in thinking there was pizza in the kitchen. How about a nice bowl of pizza soup with some garlic bread? That'll comfort you up on these cold days. Let's give this a try. Nice and creamy. I love that about this soup. Cheese pull, anybody? What are you putting in your pizza soup? How to make this delicious creamy potato soup. Very easy in your crock pot. And when I say creamy, stay tuned and watch how that happens. First thing we're going to do is get our potatoes ready. I'm using Yukon Golds. These are about a hand size. And I've got about 2.5 pounds. I've already washed and dried these. Now if you want to peel them, you can take the skins off. You can also use russet potatoes if you just need 2.5 pounds. We're going to be cutting these into bite-sized pieces. The smaller you dice your potatoes, the faster they cook. Add this to your crock pot. I've got a large yellow onion. We're going to dice that up. Pop the ends off. Take that outer layer off. You're going to cut it in half. We're going to make big slices and then run your knife through. We're going to saute up the onions, medium-high heat. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of butter. Bring that to a sizzle. You can also cook down some bacon and cook the onion in the bacon grease and then save the bacon for the end, for the topping. Add your onions. Ooh, sizzle, yum. We're gonna saute this down for about 3 to 5 minutes till they soften down and have a nice light brown color to them. That's your flavor. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of salt and pepper. We're gonna bring our crock pot of potatoes over. The onions are soft, nicely browned. What we're gonna do is add 2 teaspoons of minced garlic. Stir that in for about 30 seconds. All right, we're gonna turn off the heat. Let's go ahead and add these to our potatoes. We're going to start incorporating our liquid. I'm using 4 cups of vegetable broth, 32 ounces. The vegetable broth adds a delicious flavor. You can use chicken broth. I'm definitely going to crank in some black pepper, about 1/4 teaspoon. We've got a lot of potatoes going on in there, so I'm going to add about 1/4 teaspoon of salt. We'll judge that later. Stir this together. Now all the goodness, all the creaminess is going to come up as soon as the potatoes are done in our crock pot. Make sure they're all submerged. Just going to give it a little taste. Yeah, that's good. Place your lid on. We're going to cook this on high for 3 to 4 hours until the potatoes are nice and tender. You can even cook this on low for 6 to 8 hours. 1 hour before the potatoes are done, we are going to add 8 ounces of cream cheese to the top of the potatoes. Okay, I cut this into pieces. That way it'll melt faster in the crock pot. We're going to place the lid back on. Cook that for another hour or until the potatoes are nice and tender. Okay, the potato soup is done. The potatoes are nice and tender. The cheese has melted. What we're going to do now, I'm going to take a potato masher and blend this together just until you get to the consistency that you want for your soup. Mashing up the potatoes will make it even creamier in your soup. Let's bowl this up and let me show you what we're going to eat this with. Look at that creaminess. And I'm going to bring over the goodies. We'll put a little bit of sour cream in the center, some bacon bits, some cheese, and we can't forget those green onions. And there's one more thing you need. Don't forget your spoon. Okay, there's my bite. That's creamy. Enjoy this all the way through winter. How to make creamy cheeseburger soup. First thing we're going to do is start browning up our ground beef. I've got 2 pounds going in. Break it up. I'm going to take a large yellow onion, take the ends off, take that outer layer off, cut it in half. We're going to make big slices and then run our knife through them to get nice chops. We're going to go ahead and add that to our ground beef. Let's get that mixed in. Add some salt and some black pepper. Now, as the ground beef is browning up, we're going to go ahead and take care of the vegetables. I've got 3 carrots, 2 celery stalks, a few garlic cloves, and some russet potatoes. We're going to peel these, wash off the potatoes, and dice them up. Grate some carrots, peel them, cut the ends off, and I'll start shredding them. Carrots add a nice color to the dish. A little sweetness. We're going to keep them small, that way they cook and get nice and tender. Grab my celery that I've washed. I'm going to dice that really small. Now so far we've done like a mirepoix. Onions, celery, and carrots. And then we've got the potatoes. 3 garlic cloves. Peel off that outer layer, rough chop through it, mince it up. All of our prep work is done. So we're going to put our ground beef and onion into the bottom of the crock pot. Add our potatoes. We're going to add our carrots, celery, minced garlic. We're going to add 1 10-ounce can of cream of celery soup. We're going to add 4 cups of beef broth, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. We're going to stir this all together. Can you imagine this slow cooking during the day? Now we have the good part of it. We're going to add the cheese. Now I'm using Velveeta, the block style. We're going to be doing 16 ounces. Cut this into thin strips. Lay it all over the soup. We're going to place the lid on. We're going to cook this on high for 2 to 3 hours, or you can cook it on low between 4 to 6 hours. You want the potatoes to be nice and tender. I'll be back to show you how we're going to finish this off. We're going to take the lid off. Oh, look at that. That is so delicious. What we're going to do is go ahead and add 1/2 cup of sour cream. We're going to blend this all together with the Velveeta cheese that melted into the soup. Let's boil this up. All right, look at that soup. It so looks delicious. That's a big bowl of comfort right there. Oh yeah, very delicious. Who's making cheeseburger soup in the crock pot? Look at that, enchilada soup. I have a large onion here, and what I'm going to do is cut this into big pieces. So let's go ahead and take our big dices of onion here. We're going to put those in the bottom of our crock pot. I am using skinless, boneless chicken breast, almost 2 pounds worth, so you can go anywhere between 2 to 3 pounds. And what we're going to do is lay the chicken on top of the onions in our crock pot. Okay, so we're going to put the seasonings on top of our chicken. Now I have half a teaspoon of salt, and I'm just going to sprinkle it around. About a 1/4 teaspoon of some black pepper. I'm going to put in half a teaspoon of some oregano. And we're going to put in 1 teaspoon of some cumin. It'll give it some nice warmth. A little bit of heat, not much. You won't be able to taste that. But you can certainly add as much or as little as you want. And then what we're going to do is add about 1.5 teaspoons of some minced garlic. Okay, let's go ahead now and add our tomatoes. Now, I have 2 14-ounce cans of diced tomatoes, and you want to put the juice and all in there. Now, I'm substituting one of the cans of diced tomatoes for this Rotel because it's got some green chilies in there and it'll add a nice little kick of flavor. No, this is regular kernel corn, and I'm going to be adding it to our soup. You don't have to add that if you don't want to. Here's our ingredient right here, enchilada sauce. This is a 10-ounce can of the red enchilada sauce going in. That's what's going to give it that delicious flavor. Okay, we got to turn this into a soup, so I'm going to put in about 3 cups of some chicken broth, or you can use stock, bone broth, whatever you want to use. I'm just going to kind of mix up the top layer here. Okay, we're going to go ahead and place the lid on it. We're going to cook this on high between 4 to 5 hours, or low about 6 to 7 hours. We want our chicken to be nice and fork tender, and we're able to shred it really good. Okay, we'll be back. Okay, I've just pulled the chicken out of the crock pot. It's nice and done. And what I'm going to do is just cut it and shred it into bite-sized pieces. Okay, I'm going to place this back in our soup. Now, this is going to cook an additional about 10 or 15 minutes until we get the tortilla part of our enchiladas done. So I'm going to put this on a low, put the lid back on, and just let that simmer. Okay, so I'm going to take some tortillas. Now you can either use flour tortillas or corn tortillas. Now we're going to use flour tortillas because that's what we have on hand right now. What I'm going to do is cut these into strips. You can cut them into strips, or you can cut them into triangles, whatever works for you. I'm just going to turn these over here and then cut those in half. All right, now I have a baking sheet here that's lined, and we're going to take our strips and just kind of make one single layer with them. Now we want to give these a little flavor before they go into the oven. Okay, now I've got about a tablespoon or so of some avocado oil in here. You can use olive oil. What I'm going to do is just brush it on these tortilla strips. Okay, now I'm just going to crack some pink Himalayan salt all over these, or you can just use regular salt. All right, we're gonna place these in our oven that's been preheating at 375 degrees. This smells amazing all through the house. I'm gonna add some sour cream. We're gonna put some avocado, some cilantro. Okay, I've got some cheese here. Now we're using a mild cheddar and a Monterey. So just think of all the cheese blends you can use. There's our tortilla strips that I cooked in the oven. It was at 375 degrees and it cooked in there for about 20-25 minutes. Just keep an eye on these. They're nice and crisp. See? There we go. Who is ready for this soup?
Me. Thank you.
Okay, let's let them try it.
Oh man, that's good.
You feel like you're in a Mexican restaurant?
Mm-hmm.
Those delicious flavors.
Cheesy.
Very cheesy, huh?
That's cheesy.
All right, you like it?
Oh man, it's warm.
Comforting?
Mm-hmm. Oh, these are really good.
That's good, huh? Yeah.
Oh, that's salty goodness there.
There's your enchilada soup in the crock pot, you guys. Okay, go ahead and give me a thumbs up for this one, you guys. Comment down below what you think of my crock pot soup. If you're new to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and that bell notification so you'll always know when my shows are posted. Okay, I will see you on my next episode.